We're going to use Gauss Jordan elimination to solve the system of equations. Our equations are 2x minus y equals 7 and x minus 4y equals 5. So the first thing we do is we put this into an augmented matrix. So 2, negative 1, 7. Remember that each equation becomes a row in your new matrix, and that this is the x column, this is the y column, and this last column represents constants. This vertical line is like your equal sign. Then I do 1, negative 4, and 5. I have my goal written over here. Remember, you want your new matrix to be in row-reduced echelon form, or which this is row-reduced echelon form with both unit columns. We don't always get it quite like this, but this is what we would like to happen. So the first thing we're going to do is try to get this 1 right here in the 1, 1 position. So I've written down the steps over here. To get the 1 in the 1, 1 position only, you have two options. We can interchange any two rows or use row operation 2. You want to interchange any two rows if you already have a 1 in column 1. Here we do. So let's go ahead and do that. So I can write row 1, and I'm going to interchange that with row 2. This is the same thing as when you're solving this with substitution or elimination or something. Just flipping the order, writing x minus 4y equals 5 first, and then below it 2x minus y equals 7. Your answers will not change, so this is okay. So I look at my goal. I just got the 1 in the 1, 1 position. Now I want to try to make a unit column. I always want to make a unit column at a time. So I want to get the 0 in the 2, 1 position. 2, 1, remember it goes rows by columns. So this is row 2, column 1. Okay? So I want to change this 2 right here to a 0. How do I make zeros? I use row operation 3, which is the negative of the number I'm trying to change, so negative 2. I'm trying to change that to a 0, times the row with the leading 1 in it. The leading 1 that lines up is row 1. I'm going to add that to the row to change. I'm going to put it back in the row to change. Okay, let me make a little note what I'm doing. I'm going to change this 2, the 2, 1 entry to 0. That guy right there. Okay, so I'm going to do some scratch work over here. Negative 2 times row 1. So I take everything in row 1 and multiply by negative 2. So I get negative 2, positive 8, negative 10. I'm going to add that to row 2. Just rewrite the entries in row 2. I get 0, 7, and negative 3. This is my new row 2. I did not change row 1, so I'm going to rewrite it. And I write 0, 7, and negative 3 as my row 2. Do you notice what we did? This is a unit column. It contains 1, 1, and everything else zeros. We successfully pivoted on the 1, 1 entry, because that's the entry that's the 1, and everything else is zeros. So I can put a little check mark here. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the 7 in the 2, 2 entry to a leading 1. If you look at your directions over here, we make a unit column, then we move to the right and make the next unit column. If you don't remember, to get all the leading 1s except the 1, 1, we only have one choice. We use row operation 2. 1 over the number to change times the row to change goes to the row to change. So I'll do 1 over 7 times row 2 goes back to row 2. I'm not changing row 1, so I rewrite it. and I divide everything by 7, or multiply by 1 over 7. So 0, 1, negative 3 over 7. Great. I got my 1 right here. Now I need to make a 0. So let me write this down. I want to change the negative 4 in the 1, 2 entry to 0. So change this guy to 0. To do my zeros, I do the negative of the number I'm trying to change. So I'm trying to change negative 4, so the negative of negative 4 is positive 4. I'm going to multiply by the row that has the 1 in it that lines up. So I'm trying to change row 1, but I'm going to use row 2 to do so. So 4 times row 2 plus, add row 1 and put it back in row 1. So here's my scratch. 4, row 2, so 0, 4. And when you multiply a fraction by a number, this is going to be like negative 3 over 7 times 4 over 1. We multiply the numerator by the numerator, denominator by the denominator. This is negative 12 over 7. So negative 12 over 7. I'm going to add that to row 1. 1, negative 4, and 5. If I combine them, I get 1, 0. And then I have a fraction. So I know 5 over 1, I need the new denominator to be in terms of 7s. So I'll multiply the bottom by 7 and the top by 7. I get 35 over 7. So I'm really looking at negative 12 over 7 plus 35 over 7. So 35 is bigger than 12, so it's going to be a positive, let's see, 23 over 7. Okay, so that's my new row 1. 1, 0, 23 over 7. Then I'm going to have 0, 1, negative 3 over 7. Okay? Now, if you notice, looking here and looking here, I have 2 unit columns. We have successfully pivoted. On this time it was the 2, 2 entry. And that's how we made our unit column. Okay, if you notice, this is in row reduced form. It looks just like my goal. Stair step of 1s, and then I have unit column, okay? And if this was bigger, let me scroll down and show you the rest of the directions. If this was bigger, we continue making unit columns from left to right until the matrix is in our row reduced echelon form. And once it is in row reduced form, we see this one is, let me write that down. This matrix is in row reduced echelon form. So we just read off the answers. So my answers are, remember that this was the x column, this was the y column. So my answers are x equals 23 over 7 and y equals negative 3 over 7. There you go. Isn't that fun?